Hey everybody, HD here, and 'tis the week for the new Avengers 2.3 update. While a number of head-scratching bugs and hilarious glitches have resulted from the very thing that was already delayed, I'd like to share the more interesting changes that I noticed. Of course, Nick Fury is now hanging out in the helicarrier, but there are some subtle additions not even mentioned in the patch notes. From gear down to the game's features and gameplay loop, there's something to benefit for both new and in-game players. But before we get to that, please drop a like if you found this info interesting, subscribe to this channel, and ring the bell for more Avengers content. With that, we're starting with the most obvious subject in this update, the gear. More specifically, gear with 2 stats instead of 3 have been improved this time around. Thanks to this photo of a Thor gear piece from Nate Ace on Reddit, we can see that gear with 2 stats can get this high now, breaking 100. Like, my goodness. While some players may think this isn't worth it, others will use this for very specific stat spreads to much easily get the increases needed. I personally think gear with double stats are more useful now than ever. Speaking of gear rewards, apparently the harm room rewards were changed as well. Gone are the days of getting just random comics from most of the harm rooms, but now this randomness is character specific. Previously, for example, harm rooms with character names used to always supposedly reward just a random comic out of the huge pool of comics in the game. Well, now these rewards seem to have changed to being a random comic for the character's harm room you complete, such as Black Widow's harm room giving a random drop from the standard Black Widow comics. While it's not exactly easy target farming for specific comics like in events and priority harm rooms, players can at least narrow down the harm rooms they'd like to spend their time on, based on what characters' comics they want to aim for. Speaking of character specific, let's mention some pretty character specific changes during battle. Old Soul 079 on Reddit pointed out that Kate Bishop's dash seems to have been improved. I personally couldn't tell the difference, but let me know if you noticed this for yourself. A handful of other players have also discovered that Thor and Iron Man's flying speed boost lasts way longer. Again, I couldn't see too much of a difference here, so let me know if these two characters feel a bit different to you while flying. Of course, it still doesn't beat the bug of non-flyers taking to the skies though. Messiah 1024 on Reddit pointed out that Spider-Man's web shooter animation got fixed up a bit. Specifically, whenever he's aiming to shoot his web shooters, he keeps his hands down instead of posing weirdly before shooting. And as Spider-Man is my favorite character, it pleased me quite a bit to see a bit more swagger added to his combat animations. I believe I've seen plenty of others mentioning these changes as well, but let me also know if you've discovered something else character specific in battle as well, something that I didn't catch here. With the addition of Nick Fury's unceremonious appearance, the SHIELD leader seemingly gives some future teases to what's to come. These teases are subtly included in some of the new cutscenes both players old and new will see. While these videos present old information known to most of the player base, those that pay attention will notice he drops some subtle hints on additions for the future.
There are multiple factions within the Resistance, all working together to stop AIM and the Kree. Any new factions will follow this pattern. Next up are the Omega level threats. Raids are even more advanced.
Well, you heard the man. Can we finally expect more factions, royalties, and raids in the near future? According to Fury, saying these words as plural, will we even make it far enough to see the Kree finally make an appearance in the game? Even if Tony Bing seems to have a good hunch himself. Be sure to share your predictions in the comments below. But I must say, I wish Fury would be a bit more enthusiastic sharing that information with us.
Let's get out there and kick some ass.
Oh. While still on the topic of new missions, let's now talk about the dead silence we have during new missions introduced in 2.3. Now that Nick Fury is back in the picture, the Avengers seem to not need any guidance during the new missions in the snowy tundra and wasteland regions. While this is a huge bummer for fans that enjoy the recycled banter from the likes of Jarvis and Maria Hill, this could be a somewhat silver lining for the future OLTs, raids, and other missions to come. Multificionado on Reddit pointed out that, quote, "I'm presuming that Crystal Dynamics is so short on money that they can't afford or don't want to bother hiring back the actors for lines for these and go to the effort. In fact, it may very well be the case that Crystal Dynamics upper echelon is not putting an emphasis on the word effort to start with the letter E," end quote. To me, it makes some sense Crystal Dynamics going this route. Less voice acting required during missions means less money needed to spend bringing in expensive voice actors, and hopefully more time and money for making more playable content. At least that's how I see it. Let me know in the comments below if you think this may be the direction Crystal Dynamics is headed. Still on the topic of new missions, let's talk about some missions that are already in the game. Veteran players may be happy to notice that difficulty finally affects the power level of enemies in most missions. It seems that this option does not affect harm rooms, faction missions, tachyon rifts, iconic missions, priority threat sectors, the Mega Hive Gauntlet, and some villain sectors and hives. Some elite options included. I couldn't figure out what makes some villain sectors and hives able to be adjusted for difficulty and those that aren't able to. Let me know in the comments below if you figured that out for yourself though. Also, according to Old Soul 079 earlier from Reddit, they say that quick match enemies scale to 177, which is actually higher than the elite raid. Let me know in the comments, have you been having a bit more fun with the power level fix to the enemies? I've personally been having fun seeing how my characters stand up to the enemies actually like 10 power levels or more above me. I've been doing pretty well by the way, and I've barely touched the claw raid yet. You can find all that out over on my Twitch channel on twitch.tv/high_definition. Stop by, say hey. I'm usually streaming whenever I'm not busy writing the next video. So go ahead and follow that page as well. Help your boy get to that 50 follower count over there. It's the only place where you'll find me playing non-Avengers content, so check that out if you're interested. We're finishing off this video with one of my favorite improvements in Update 2.3, the gameplay loop itself. Team Dynamite 82 over on Reddit pointed this out with this thought-provoking post saying that, "I think they nailed a rewarding gameplay loop with patch 2.3. After leveling up all characters to 175 a couple weeks ago, I was worried I'm done until new content comes out. But that has not been the case. I went from months of grinding OLT and raid to now caring much less about it. I'm now all about the weekly and daily vault and villain chains. I've been averaging at least 2 exotics with each chain completion. Sometimes you even get 3. Being able to do this with each hero is so good. I love the new perks for the vault and villain gear, as they are more interesting when combined with the raid gear I already have. Now, I find myself grinding vaults and actually completing them. Since DNA keys drop from the daily and weekly villain chains, they are no longer a rare resource and you have an incentive to do the villain sectors. All the new exotics I get from vault and villain chains drop at 140, so that sends me back to the OLT or raid to get 165 gear to drop and upgrade it. Rinse and repeat for your characters, and it's been pretty rewarding and fun as a whole. Also, increasing almost all missions to power level 160 has been great on challenge level 4. It feels like they are throwing a lot of enemies at you at once and have added more of the tougher enemies as well. Obviously, new content would be amazing, but it's kind of feeling fresh for me again. Cat Emperor on Reddit also points out places like Last Avenger Standing dropping 2 exotics. The drop rates seem to have been improved here as well, maybe in other places too. Let me know in the comments below if you noticed any changes in the drop rate of gear, specifically exotics. But that's all the unlisted new changes that I've been able to find out coming from Avengers Update 2.3. This question's for you though. Has the update brought you back to playing the game more often? Let me know down below. Show your support by giving this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell for more content like this. Also, check me out over on Twitter, where you can find me tweeting about all kinds of cool nerdy stuff. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Peace.